The Dating Void, Why Romance Died When Survival Was Put on the Market. The Complaint That Goes Nowhere. Everywhere you look, someone is diagnosing the dating crisis. Men's spaces, women have too many options. Social media inflated their standards. They chase the top 20% of men while the rest of us starve. Women's spaces, men won't commit. They want sex without effort. They've been radicalized by influencers who tell them masculinity is under attack. Mainstream media, swipe culture destroyed intimacy, phones replaced presence. Everyone is chasing the next best thing. All of these are descriptions of symptoms. None are diagnoses of the disease. The dating crisis is not a failure of men. It is not a failure of women. It is not a failure of technology, morality, or traditional values. It is a structural inevitability in a system where survival itself has been commodified, where every human need, from housing to healthcare to connection, must pass through the market before it can be met. And the market does not care about love. The market cares about throughput. Second, the commodification of survival. A refresher. Let's start with first principles. A commodity is anything produced for exchange rather than for direct use. When you grow food to eat, it's not a commodity. When you grow food to sell, it is. Capitalism's central project over the past 500 years has been the gradual conversion of everything into a commodity. Land, once commons, private property, labor, once embedded in relationships, wage work food, once grown, purchased shelter, once built, rented water, once shared, bottled and sold healthcare, once community care, insurance product attention, once just living, data to be extracted. The final frontier of this commodification is the self. You are not a person in late capitalism. You are a bundle of revenue streams. Your labor generates wages, surplus extracted by your employer. Your attention generates ad revenue, surplus extracted by platforms. Your data generates predictive value, surplus extracted by tech companies. Your desires generate consumption, surplus extracted by every industry. Your loneliness generates profit, dating apps, therapists, self-help, porn. You have been disassembled into products, and nowhere is this more visible and more devastating than in dating. Third, dating as a market, the structural logic. When survival depends on market participation, every domain of life becomes market-shaped. Dating is no exception. The logic is simple and remorseless. 1. Scarcity is manufactured, not scarcity of potential partners, scarcity of secure partners. When survival itself is precarious, people become risk-averse. They don't choose based on love. They choose based on survival optimization. 2. Value becomes quantified. In a market, everything needs a price or a metric. Dating apps give you height, income, education, followers, photos that signal status. You are reduced to a profile, a product listing. Compare, swipe, discard. 3. Abundance destroys commitment. When there are infinite options, or the illusion of infinite options, the opportunity cost of settling rises. Why commit to one when the next swipe might be better? This is not moral failure, it's market logic applied to intimacy. 4. Attention is the real currency. Dating apps don't make money when you find love. They make money when you keep swiping. Their entire architecture is optimized for non-convergence. The perfect match is bad for business. 5. Precarity poisons trust. Trust requires predictability. Predictability requires stability. Stability requires slack, time, energy, resources not consumed by survival. When everyone is exhausted, debt-ridden, and one emergency away from collapse, trust becomes a luxury no one can afford. IV. The trickle-down, how commodified survival warps. Every interaction, let's trace the chain from macrostructure to micro-experience. Step 1. Housing is a commodity, not a right. Result: Young people can't afford to live alone. They live with roommates, parents, or in unstable situations. Bringing someone home becomes logistics, not romance. Intimacy requires coordination, not spontaneity. The threshold for connection rises. Step 2. Healthcare is tied to employment. Result: leaving a bad relationship means risking insurance. Staying in a job you hate means staying in a geographic location. People are locked in place by survival needs. They can't go where they might find connection. Step 3. Education is debt, not development. Result: Millennials and Gen Z carry student debt that functions as a lifetime tax. This delays home ownership, marriage, children, risk-taking. The settling down stage of life gets pushed into the 30s and 40s, if it happens at all. Step 4. Labor is precarious, not secure. Result: gig work, contracting, flexible employment means no stability. No stability means no long-term planning. No long-term planning means relationships are always provisional. You can't build with someone when you don't know where you'll be in 6 months. Step 5. Social media is attention extraction. Result: everyone is performing. Your dating life is content. Your relationship is a brand. Your partner is an accessory in your personal narrative. Authenticity becomes impossible because the performance is the point. Step 6. Loneliness is monetized. Result: dating apps charge for premium features that promise to fix the very loneliness they created. Therapists charge $200 an hour to help you process the trauma of market-mediated intimacy. Porn offers a frictionless substitute for real connection, and it's free, which is a very hard price to beat. Every single one of these is structural. None of them is caused by men not stepping up or women having too many options. They are caused by a system that treats human beings as inputs and outputs. V. The blame trap. Why men versus women is a managed distraction. The system is not stupid. It knows that if people recognize the structural nature of their suffering, they might organize. They might demand change. They might stop participating. So it gives them something else to fight about. Men are told, women are the problem. They're shallow, hypergamous, corrupted by feminism. Women are told, men are the problem. They're immature, commitment-phobic, radicalized by misogyny. Both sides consume this content. Both sides get angrier. Both sides retreat further into echo chambers that confirm their grievances. And the system continues extracting. The dating app executives marry supermodels. They don't use their own products. They don't need to. They have access to real connection, the kind that happens off-market, among people with enough slack to see each other as humans. The rest of us fight over crumbs while paying for the privilege. 6. The elites are not exempt. They just don't know it. Here's the twist the conspiracy theorists miss. The elites are also trapped. They just have a nicer cage. The hedge fund partner with a trophy wife, he doesn't know if she loves him or his liquidity. He can never know. The doubt is built into the transaction. The tech CEO with a harem of influencers, he's not experiencing intimacy. He's experiencing inventory. And inventory doesn't love you back. The venture capitalist funding the next dating app, he thinks he's building connection. He's building a more efficient extraction machine, and it will extract from him too, eventually. Money can't buy freedom from structure. It can only buy better ways of not noticing you're in one. The billionaire feels the same void as the gig worker. He just has more ways to fill it temporarily, more distractions, more substitutes, more people who will pretend to care because he pays them. But the void doesn't care about your bank account. It just waits. 7th, the PSA frame. What would actual alignment require? Progressive sequential alignment asks one question. What would it take to align dating with reality instead of with market incentives? The answer is not better dating apps. The answer is not return to tradition. The answer is not men's rights or women's empowerment, as currently framed. The answer is structural. To align dating with reality, you would need 1. Decommodified survival. Housing as a right, not a profit center. Healthcare as a public good, not an employment perk. Education as development, not debt servitude. Labor as dignified participation, not precarious extraction. When survival is secure, people can choose partners based on genuine connection rather than survival optimization. The market for intimacy stops being a market and starts being life. 1. Time sovereignty. Reduced working hours. Genuine leisure. Not recovery time, but free time. Space to be bored, to wander, to encounter others without agenda. Intimacy requires time. Time requires slack. Slack requires a system that doesn't consume every waking hour for survival. 1. Attention autonomy. Technology designed for human flourishing, not engagement maximization. Social media that doesn't optimize for outrage and comparison. Dating apps that profit from successful matches, not perpetual swiping. This is not delete the apps. It's change what the apps optimize for. Currently, they optimize against you. That's not your fault. It's their business model. 1. Trust infrastructure. Communities with continuity. Places where people stay, where relationships can deepen over years. Shared projects that build connection through collaboration, not consumption. Public spaces where people can meet without spending money. Intimacy requires context. Context requires stability. Stability requires investment in places, not just platforms. 1. The void faced collectively. Recognition that no amount of partnership will fill the existential emptiness. Willingness to sit in meaninglessness together, not use each other as distractions. Relationships as alignment projects, not escape hatches. This is the hardest one, because it requires what the system most fears, people who can tolerate reality without needing a story to make it bearable. What this looks like on the ground. Let me give you a concrete image of what dating could look like under these conditions. 2 people meet not on an app, but through a community project, restoring a local park, organizing a mutual aid network, building something together. They have time because work doesn't consume 50 hours of their week. They have energy because survival isn't a constant emergency. They have context because they've seen each other in stress, in collaboration, in failure. They don't need to evaluate each other against a checklist. They already know who the other is. They've observed it. They don't need to perform. The performance would be exhausting and pointless. Everyone already saw you when the project was failing and you kept showing up. They don't need to lock things down immediately. There's no ticking clock of biological urgency mixed with economic precarity. They can let things unfold. And when they do come together, it's not 2 isolated individuals trying to extract value from each other. It's 2 people who already share a world, joining their worlds more deeply. This is not utopian. This is how humans functioned for most of our history. The market-mediated dating nightmare is the aberration. 9. The individual question, what can you do now? You've read this far. You see the structure. You know the cage is real. And you're asking, what do I do on Tuesday? Here's the hard truth. You cannot opt out of the system individually. You can't just decide to have pre-market intimacy while the market controls your survival, but you can. 1. See clearly. Stop blaming yourself. Stop blaming the opposite gender. See the structure. Name it. The first step out of a cage is knowing you're in one. 2. Build slack where you can. Reduce debt. Increase savings. Create margin. Every dollar of slack is a tiny liberation from the urgency that poisons connection. 3. Prioritize contexts over platforms. Seek out spaces where people meet around shared activity, not shared swiping. Hobby groups, mutual aid projects, political organizing, making things. These are imperfect, they still exist within the system, but they're less mediated by extraction logic. 4. Practice seeing people as ends, not means. The system trains you to evaluate everyone by what they offer you. Resist this. Practice curiosity without agenda. Practice presence without outcome. This is a skill. It atrophies when unused. 5. Find your people. Look for the others who see the structure. They're rare. When you find them, hold on. Build trust. Create micro-worlds where different rules apply. These are the seeds. 6. Sit in the void. Stop expecting romance to save you. It won't. No person can fill the emptiness. Learn to be with yourself first. Then you can be with another without demanding they be your salvation. X. Conclusion. The door that must be opened. The dating crisis is not a crisis of character. It is a crisis of structure. Men are not the problem. Women are not the problem. Technology is not the problem. Modern culture is not the problem. The problem is that survival has been commodified, and intimacy cannot survive the market. You cannot buy love. You cannot swipe your way to belonging. You cannot optimize your way to connection. These things happen in the cracks of the system, in the spaces the market hasn't fully colonized. The task is not to fix dating. The task is to fix the conditions that make genuine connection impossible. This is not a one-person job. It is not a one-generation job. It is the work of collective alignment, building worlds where humans can meet as humans, not as bundles of survival strategies. But it starts with seeing. See the cage, name the cage, show others the cage, and then, together, start building the door. The void is patient. It's been waiting since the first commodity was traded for the first human need. But the void is also full of possibility, full of others who are also looking, full of the only thing that actually matters, reality, unmediated, unsold, unperformed. Your move.